I used to be scared of the dark for so long until I realized I was just looking at it all wrong. Yo, what's good, family? It's your boy MJ here at MJ the Greatest on all platforms. Back with this week's episode. Huge shout out to y'all for the love, the comments, the subscribing, the likes, all of it, the sharing. However you show love, I'm always going to appreciate it, and it's definitely felt. Just thank y'all so much. Anyway, I'm gonna do a better job of just getting right into it, and I don't want to make these intros too long, so let's just get right into it. The title of this week's episode is Getting Comfortable in the Darkness. I ain't gonna lie, y'all. This is a deeper one. This is a deep one. When I first, let me just back up a little bit. When this topic for this video first came to me, it came to me while I was meditating, right? And so that's where the original thought came. But then as I began to think on it more and reflect on it more, I started to realize, wait, no, this goes way deeper than meditation. It kind of has layers, you know what I'm saying? So let's just dive into them. As I said in the beginning, I used to be so afraid of the dark, and I guess in some way I still am kind of let's just break it down. All right. So as I was kind of looking at it, I kind of looked at as darkness as kind of like 3 stages, right? And this is just how I felt. Like, for me, the best kind of way to look at it, or look at this, I should say. So the 3 stages are, the first stage is all right, pitch black darkness. Like, picture yourself how people are afraid of the dark when they just turn off the light in their house, right? That's the first stage of just being scared of the dark. You're in a pitch black house, but it's your house, right? But you turn off the lights and you might be scared, something under your bed, something in your closet, just that kind of natural fear of darkness that we kind of grow up with for some reason, right? The second stage is, okay, it's pitch black, but now you're in your backyard, or you're outside, or you're deep in a forest somewhere, and it's just pitch black. So you got no clue what's around you. You're just out there. And that one is even that, you kind of see that's stage 2. That's kind of even scarier, right? And then stage 3 is kind of where I was at, where I said I thought about this when I was meditating, because I was like, man, when you're meditating, you're in the darkness, right? You're in the thick of it. You're in the thick of the darkness, and you have no other, you have nowhere to run. You have nowhere to hide. You have to literally sit in that darkness and kind of just be comfortable with it. Thus the title and name of this video, right? But I started to think about wow, darkness has really gotten a bad rap for such a long time, but it's only, I feel because we kind of were misinformed about its actual importance and what it can actually do to help us grow, right? So the first one is when you think about it, where do we all come from? We all came from darkness, right? What do I mean by that? When we were born, that entire 9-month gestation period, we were in darkness. And guess what? It was some of the most comfortable we've ever been. It was some of the most free we've ever been. It was some of the most just, what's the word? Uncaring. You know what I'm saying? It was when you were inside of your mother for those 9 months in pure darkness, that was some of the best times of our lives, right? And it was in darkness. The first time we ever cry is when we get exposed to that light, is when we come out of that canal and our eyes get exposed to that light. That's probably the first time we've ever cried, right? We might roll around and jump around and do that while we're inside, but when we come out and we see the light, that's the first time we ever cry, right? So just think about that. When you think about that, we're literally born from darkness, right? We come from a dark place where we were comfortable. We were getting fed. We were getting, carried around everywhere. It was a great time, right? But when we get exposed to the light, then we're like, okay, that blinded, that hurt a little bit. And then our eyes get back adjusted again. And then like, okay, now we're in this light world. But what happens is once we get into the light world, we kind of reject the darkness again. We're kind of like, nah, we're so used to light. We don't like the darkness. So that's kind of why I figured why kids are so afraid of the dark once they kind of get like a couple years older, is because it's like they've become so accustomed to the light world that now darkness is, it's which leads me into my next point, is like darkness is the unknown, right? So like I've gotten past the stage of like I can turn off all the lights in my house and walk to the bathroom or walk to the kitchen and go upstairs. Like that doesn't scare me, right? Like, so I've passed the stage 1 of like being in the dark of where I know I am. Stage 2 is pretty much being in the dark and not knowing where you are, the unknown of it, right? Because darkness in itself is almost the unknown. You don't know where you're going, you don't know where you're at, you can't see the things around you, you can't feel your way, you can't feel your way around, but you don't want to touch the wrong thing, you don't want to step on the wrong thing and fall or trip, or you know what I'm saying? There's just so many unknowns, right? But there's so much room for you to grow in that, you know what I'm saying? Yes, you may not know, but you have to continue to move forward. You have to continue to go through it, right? When you're upcoming and you see a big, long tunnel, you don't know what's on the other side of that tunnel. You assume that on the other side of it is a continued road that you were driving on. You assume that. Your mind thinks that because our minds are so smart. We have a mind that'll say, okay, we've seen a situation like this. Usually on the other side of this is the continuation of the path. That's basically life, right? Are you going to go through that tunnel even though you can't see the other side? Yes or no? Even though you cannot see what's on the other side of this long, narrow, hollow, cold, dark tunnel, are you still going to walk through it and get to the light that's on the other side? And that is the life, right? So that's the part of, I feel like, life that I'm going through right now, which I can't say I fully conquered that, because there's definitely still some times when things, I just completely don't know what is going on, what's going to happen, what's the next step, but I still step. I still take the leap of faith, you know what I'm saying? I know that even if I don't got the wings to fly, my ancestors do. My guardian angels do. The universe is got that safety net there for me for if I do take the misstep, for if I do take the wrong step, there's still going to be there to carry me. You know what I'm saying? They're still going to be there for me. And that is hard. That's a difficult trust to be able to have, right? You just trust the unknown. You just trust that things are going to work out for you. Yes, I do. Now, like I said, I always tell y'all, like, I don't come on here and try to play it to y'all like it was easy. Like I've always been thinking this way. Like I've always had so much supreme faith. I've had to get to this point. I've had to work to this point. You know what I'm saying? And I'm glad that I have, though, because when you get comfortable with darkness, when you're comfortable with not having all the answers, but still taking that step forward because you know it's still forward. Going forward is still better than you going back. Even if it's a baby step, it's still better than one backwards. Once you kind of get that in your mind and your spirit, you become unstoppable, and then you start building that unrelenting momentum of just go, right? And it's not to like rush. That's why I said, even if it's a baby step, one baby step forward is still better than a huge step backwards or 10 steps backwards, right? Even if you crawl into the tunnel, you still moving forward. It's still progress, right? And so that's basically like the second stage of that darkness, right? It's like the darkness of the unknown. And the third stage is you, right? Like I said, this came to me while I was meditating. And the reason why is because I've talked about meditation on my channel before, but before I used to meditate using like frequencies Or I would play like affirmations in my ear and listen to those, which I still very much so recommend. But recently, probably I guess maybe over like the past 2 or 3 weeks, I've been just like raw dogging the meditation, just like going straight into meditation with nothing. Just the time, I set a timer, but no music, no sounds, no frequencies, no affirmations, just me sitting with myself in the universe. And those are some scary, scary times. And you might think like, how is this scary? But like, I'll just ask y'all, like, how many times, or how often, I guess I should say, do you actually just sit with yourself? No phone, no music, no task going on, no reading, no drawing, no writing, none of that, no TV in the background. How often do you just sit with your own self? And I realized for myself, that was very, 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 very hard for me. That was so hard for me because I love doing stuff. I love action. I love progress. I love getting things done, right? But I had to realize, like, as much as I do, as much as I can do, there's still, I can never be able to do it all for myself, right? I still need divine intervention. I still have to wait for a divine timing. I still have to receive and be open to help. You know what I'm saying? I can't do it all by myself. I just can't. I can't. So I have to be comfortable in stillness. I have to be just comfortable in myself. I have to know that my value is inherent, that my value isn't dependent upon how many tasks that I complete that day. My value isn't dependent on how much progress did I make towards my goal this specific day or this specific hour. How much effort did I put into the gym and how hard did I go? How much did I push myself to my limit? It's not about any of that. You are the value yourself. You inherently are everything that you're looking for, everything that you desire, everything that you wish. It's already in you. But a lot of times, and I like I said, I'm the first person I have to look at when I say this, is like, we try to do so much or think so many different things that we don't really stop and kind of just look at how far we've come, right? Like, I started this channel in January. If you guys have been with me the whole time, if you're not, welcome. But I started this channel in January, and I did not know if it was something that I would continue to do. I knew that I wanted to continue to do it, but I just didn't know if it was for me. Now I 100% know it's for me. Now I love doing it even more. Not only because I love doing this, but it's like, I have you guys. I have a tribe. I have a community. I know these messages. I know I'm not the only one feeling this way. And I know that these words, these revelations that I have, they can go on to help others as well, right? Even if it's just one person, that still is like, that keeps the world moving, right? That's how I kind of look at it. Is like, if I have to teach what I've been taught, right? Like, I have to, if something works good for me, or if I found out that something was good, or I felt like this was helpful, I have to share that. Like, that's just the person that I am. I have to share. So I've just come to like learn that, the hardest part of the darkness journey, I guess, it is very much still the unknown, but I've become way more comfortable with that. The hardest part for me still to this day is just like the stillness, right? Not thinking about the past, not thinking about the future, not really having any thought, just being still, sitting with myself, being bored. You know what I'm saying? Like, I used to be like, oh, I hate being bored. Every time I would get bored, I would always try to run and go do something, occupy the time, make myself feel like, okay, if I'm doing this, so this is more important. Or sometimes you really just have to just sit with yourself. You don't have to think about anything. And that's hard too, right? Like, man, my first couple times doing it this way, I would just sit there and I would have so many thoughts like flying through my head about what I'm about to eat later, what I'm about to do when I'm done meditating, how did that affect me earlier, all these different things, right? And you guys can still do it that way, but like, I'll just give you like a little challenge. Just challenge yourself to meditate for as long as you can with as little thoughts as possible. Like, truly just sit in that quote unquote darkness, but you're kind of just looking inside, right? Like, we see so many different things. I've talked about this before too. We look out into the world. We open our eyes every morning. The first thing some of us might do is look onto the screen. Some of us might, it doesn't matter. But the point is, we see so many different things in this light world. Is only the only time that we kind of shut our eyes and kind of look inside is when we're asleep. But that's kind of not the same thing as like choosing to sit yourself down, be still, not do anything else, not think of anything else, and just be with yourself. Just sit with yourself, right? And get comfortable with that feeling. And as I said, like, I started doing this probably like 2 weeks ago, and I just meditated a little bit, like a little while ago. And I can say I'm more comfortable in that space than I've ever been in my entire life. And I'm just continuing to grow that because I understand that is where the growth comes from. Everything that you're looking to do is on the other side of what you were scared of, what you were fearful of, right? For me, it was darkness. For me, it was the unknown. For me, it was sitting with myself. And as I see myself kind of checking off these boxes and conquering these things, I can feel it in myself. I can feel the growth. I can feel the comfortability, right? It's sort of this like invincible kind of feeling you get when you realize there's nothing that I'm really fearful of. There's nothing I'm really scared of. Once I face these like things, especially like the inner things, the inner darkness of myself, there's nothing out here that can stop me. Especially when I know I'm protected, especially when I know I'm guided, especially when I know I got people on my team rooting for me. Especially y'all watching this, because y'all should know, if it ain't nobody rooting for you, you at least got one right here. And I mean that. If y'all ain't got nobody else rooting for you, if you watching this, just know you got one right here, a big one. And I ain't backing down for nothing and nobody. I promise you that. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, show love however you show love. I'm going to be back with a new episode each and every week. Peace out. Catch y'all next week.